Hi, this is Eric. I'm just starting my 812 mile drive back to Wyoming, and I'm going to use full self-driving beta today, and I'm going to see how far I can go without interventions, or how many interventions I need over that 800 miles. So far, just getting out of town, I've had zero. It's driven perfectly the whole way here. Not perfectly, but pretty well the whole way here. So we'll see how it goes. It's starting out by hanging out in the left lane, so we'll see. Okay, a few miles in here. We're on the one stretch of road that I think might give a little bit of trouble. It's a newer stretch of road, at least it's been under construction, so the lanes switch back and forth. And the one thing I noticed, it moved back into the left lane here, and a message popped up saying, switching left to stay out of the rightmost lane, or something along those lines. So, well, the rightmost lane is the lane you should drive in here, so I'm going to try to tell it to go back to the other lane and see what it does. See if it stays here now. But yeah, this area has some mapping issues and stuff, so we'll see how it does here. This is the one area I expect I will have to babysit it a little bit. Okay, I'm at the first construction area. I changed the settings here to put minimal lane changes in, to keep it from moving out of the rightmost lane, as it said. And really what it was doing was just driving in the fast lane, or the overtaking lane. So I'm trying that to see if that helps. But like, this is where the road could be a problem, like I said, because it's under construction. So let's see how it handles switching to it switches to a standard two-way road here, two-lane, opposite direction. It's not going well so far. What do you bet? Is it just going to run into that sign? No, it figured it out. It said changing lanes due to path blockage, so that's actually interesting, or something like that. I don't have time to read it when I'm looking out the window. Yeah, so it did pretty well actually there. And this is the only stretch of road. We have 7 miles of it that's left. Once this stretch is completed, this is Highway 30 in Iowa, between Cedar Rapids and Marshalltown. Once this stretch is completed, then my trip will be entirely interstate or 4-lane divided highway. So I'm excited that this is about done. It makes getting between Cedar Rapids and Des Moines pretty quick as well. One more thing here on this 2-lane, you can tell where they're switching to 4-lane. I'll make it bigger and see if you can see it. You can tell that it thinks it's on the wrong road, so it knows it's over here. The problem is sometimes the GPS will go, oh, turn left on 74th Street randomly. So it makes it a little confused. See, it just did it there. But thankfully the full self-driving hasn't been fooled by that yet, so it hasn't tried to do any erratic turns or anything like that. So to get back over to that other stretch of road over there, so they just put this in, and now they're tearing out the old road and putting the new stretch in, and then they'll go back to 4 lanes. Okay, so I turned the video back on here for the last maneuver to get back to 4 lanes, and let's see how it handles this. I guess it's not quite back to 4 lanes yet, but at least back to the other side of the road. its thing there. It wasn't sure what to do. I'm not sure why it did that. I'll have to review the video there to see what was down here. It was fine, but I almost took control there because it looked like it was going to drive me into the ditch. So, okay. And then now I guess there is one stretch of 2-lane left. They're doing the 4-lane over there, or the second set of lanes over there. So, but I think this one has a normal exit, or when it goes back to 4 lanes, I think it's normal for me, so the car probably won't have an issue. I actually forgot to reset my trip. I'm at 70 miles, 20 kilowatt hours, 282 watt hours per mile. I'm going to reset trip pay. So I guess I'll be 70 miles off, but that's where I'm at so far. I haven't had to take control yet. I did have one phantom braking event, and I'll distinguish between phantom braking and, say, phantom hesitation, where a hesitation is just the car is not totally sure what it's seeing, so it will drop maybe 2 or 3, 4 or 5 miles an hour. Phantom braking is the car triggered an emergency braking event, beeped and slammed on the brakes pretty hard. Not like, there's a couple different levels of that too, but it was enough that it dropped from like 65 down to 55 in just a matter of a couple seconds at most. So for that one, you want to have sorry, I'm wondering why it changed lanes. It says changing lanes to follow route. But for a real phantom braking event, you really want your foot near the accelerator pedal. So with the Tesla Vision system, I've just learned to drive with my foot right near the accelerator pedal. I'm going to tell it to go back here and see what it does. It might be because that little glitch there is probably because the map data isn't quite right, the nodes and paths may not be quite right, or something Tesla's learned that's not quite right, previous construction or something. Okay, here's the first time I'm going to overtake a car or a semi, and I want to see how it handles the situation. After I told it to get into the right lane earlier, it stayed there, but I wanted to show that I have minimal lane changes enabled in the average autopilot settings there. So we'll see how it does this. That minimal lane change is interesting. It's telling it to not change lanes here. I don't know why it's not. I'm going to tell it to change lanes, I guess. It dropped down to 58 miles an hour. It still hadn't decided to change lanes. I'll probably have to tell it to go back. I told it to get Okay, so that was interesting. I don't know why it didn't want to pass. It might just be that this is a 4-lane divided highway, but we'll see. It dropped a lot of speed there, and even in minimal lane changes, I would have expected that to pass. I'll leave it off now and see if that changes its behavior. Place where I think the car, I might have to take control. I'm not sure though. It is turning left onto a 4-lane divided highway. I don't know why it's braking so hard. It doesn't need to do that. So this is the one place where I think it could have a tricky time. It's pulling across like it should. Okay, it did that really well. I'm surprised. So that was where I thought it might have trouble, because it's always hard turning left onto a 4-lane divided highway. It's a tricky maneuver. So I'll show you the exit issue next time I have an exit, but what I was going to say is that I told it to switch lanes there. It might have figured it out, but, and by the way, whenever I say I told it to switch lanes, if you put the blinker on for a few seconds, it'll instruct it to change lanes. So I'll show you the exit issue with merging traffic coming on. It's fixed on full self-driving, whereas on the autopilot stack, when a car would, or not a car, but when the lanes would merge back up, the car would always go to the right and then back to the left if there was no lane marking on the merge. And it was always a little annoying, because it's like, it makes you sway back and forth a little bit. Full self-driving keeps the car in the correct spot. Oh, it's doing the staying out of the rightmost lane thing again. I'm going to have to probably tell it to go to minimal lane changes to avoid that. That seems to be an issue on assertive there too. But that going out of the right lane seems to be an issue on these 4-lane highways, divided highways. Okay, I'm coming up to the interstate interchange, which is, once I'm on I-80, then I'm on I-80 for hundreds and hundreds of miles. It's taken the wrong way here. I accidentally took over because so that's one disengagement. It screwed up and used the wrong lane, and it's doing it again here. Total fail. I don't know what the heck it's doing. Well, so much for making a disengagement-free drive. It's a problem with, I'm assuming that this is all new here, so the map's probably wrong. So, you know, again, shows that you really can't do this vision only. What it's doing here. It was, you know, it's making right turns half a mile before it was supposed to. So far in 122 miles, I had 2 phantom braking events, which I felt I had to intervene for, and I just had 2 more interventions there. So 4 interventions, that's 1 per 30 miles. That's, you know, actually a lot better than it was, but that's still, you know, you look at like Cruise and they're like 1 per 30,000 miles. So Tesla has a long ways to go. And at the rate they're going, they're improving at a much slower rate than like Cruise and those guys are. Now, to be fair, it's a different technology, but I would have hoped to have it by 1 in 100 miles today, you know, an order of magnitude more than it was 2 years ago. way too long to decide that. But we'll see if it drives better on the interstate. I noticed on the 4 lanes it would never pass anyone ever. I don't know why. So it might just be a limitation of the tool right now. Busier interchange. You can see how it handles it. And there's a cop car up here. Legal requirement in Iowa is to move left or slow down, so it just broke the law. I had to manually force it to the left, and it wasn't going to slow down either. So, I mean, I told it to switch left. But that would be a ticket for me if they caught me doing that. So overall, it handled this bigger intersection fine, other than the emergency vehicle. The emergency vehicle issue is kind of a known issue, though, so it's just a limitation of the system right now. I'll let it go until my exit here, which is another mile. See how it handles the surface streets to get to the stop. This will be the first charge of the day. I was hoping to get here without any interventions, but nope, not gonna happen. That was 4 plus the cop, so that would be 5. The cop, it would have been safe, it would have been okay driving, but that's a legal violation. That kind of counts as an intervention. And it really needs to get into this lane here. It actually just canceled my hit the same direction it was going, and it canceled it. That's because it says hit turn signal to cancel, so that's just a direction issue. Not a big deal there. Wish it would turn into the lane it needed to be in.
500 feet, turn left onto Northwest 50th Place.
It needs to follow that white van up there.
It's parked.
No, it's turning.
Now turn left onto Northwest 50th Place.
I'll have one.
I'm curious if I'll have to help it. I'm gonna give it accelerator just because there's cars moving. It would have been interesting to see what it did to the traffic. So anyway, here's my stop. I need to take over. This is a pretty nice supercharger. It's a 250 kilowatt 8 stall, and it's nice, convenient come and go right here. They changed how you get it in reverse. You can't put it in reverse when you're coasting anymore. You get to be completely stopped. I suppose that's a safety thing, but I kind of liked it because you could just flop it into reverse without hitting the brakes. So, all right. Typical charge stop with the kids, where I get back to the car and the car is ready to go and I'm not ready to go yet. car could go. There's a truck turning right in here, but it's deciding to wait.
In 500 feet, turn right to take the Interstate 35 South ramp. Now turn right to take the Interstate 35 South ramp.
I'll shoot video until it's past the merge point. I'm gonna tell it to go. It's stopping here for some reason. It would have been fine, but it stopped. Probably just thought it was a red light. Way too late to merge. Yeah, but it did it fine. So, okay, we'll see how this goes for the rest of the trip. I wanted to show you a quick thing here. You notice the car moved to the left side of the lane for the truck. There's another car passing me, and it doesn't seem to care about that. My car is still in my lane, but it's right on the edge of the lane. But overall, I notice it doesn't want to pass in cities, even though I have this on average and minimal lane changes turned off. Like on the city interstate, it doesn't want to pass. Okay, I'm coming up to my interstate exit here. Going to Wyoming, I have very few technical interchanges, and those are only in Des Moines and Omaha. So other than that, it's pretty much like almost 800 miles of I-80, so we'll see how it does this Omaha interchange here. Or I-80 west to Omaha.
Now take the Interstate 80 west exit on the right.
And this has a merge, you know, a fairly big, large merge of a couple lanes into another couple lanes. Notice the flow of traffic is 70 miles per hour in a 55 zone, and that's just the average traffic speed.
Now keep left to stay on Interstate 80 west.
But this car still likes to hog the left lane, so I'm going to tell it to move back to the right. See if it stays there. Alright, now if you look at my directions, let's see. I have 116 miles until I have another exit. And then it's more I-80, more I-80, more I-80, I-80, and then I-80 to my destination. So, yeah, lots of I-80. Just finished charging in Council Bluffs. I unplugged early because it's always pessimistic at the
Now turn
on the
right onto Denmark Drive.
in Tesla navigation now, and it was saying I would arrive with 4%, but as soon as I unplugged, it switched to 14%.
Now turn right onto McDermott Street.
And if I go to here, which is the energy display, it shows that my projected range is 220. I'm gonna get a little worse efficiency than that, but my distance to my destination is only 150 miles, so I should have plenty, even though it's a slightly higher speed. So we'll see how it goes. I should let the car drive here, I guess. Get where I need to. We'll see how it goes, and I'll adjust speed if I need to, because I'll be driving a little fast. I have a slightly advantageous tailwind today, so that's been helping out. You can see on this one that, oh, it went away. Let me see if it, never mind. Can't show you because it's gone, but I had saved several percent because of a tailwind. But after this, I'll be going through Omaha. After Omaha, there's really nothing interesting until I get to Wyoming in terms of traffic or interchanges or anything, so I'll probably not have much more video after today. I get on I-80 and drive 450 miles through Nebraska, and then I drive another 100 in Wyoming, and then I'm there. So it's really non-interesting drive. Give it a little bit of acceleration just to tell it to go. Getting in the lanes.
Now take exit 48B on the left.
This is the limited access part. It doesn't have as many exits through Omaha. It's kind of a nice new road. Pull this up. So live projections showing I'll arrive with 14%. I prefer this. The car will charge faster at a lower level. Not sure why it's not merging yet. I think this is a common complaint with this iteration of full self-driving. Like it's waiting until the last possible second. And it didn't bother to use its turn signal either. Yeah, since recently, the last 6 months or a year, the nav has been a lot more generous in how much you'll arrive with. So like, it has you charging a lot more than you really need to, like longer than you need to. So if you're feeling adventurous, you can, which the way Tesla does it is probably the correct way, but it'd be nice if they had it configurable, because if you're feeling adventurous, you can get much quicker travel time if you let this get as low as possible. But you also, the lower that gets, the more risk involved, right? So risk reward trade-off. So there's not much going to happen for the next 600 miles, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Give a quick demo of passing a truck. If you watch, it'll move to the left side of the lane. We're on I-80, so there's a lot of trucks to pass. More than half the traffic is trucks. Now it's back in the center. Watch as we get close to this truck. Oh, he's gonna wait. Let me speed up a little bit. So as soon as we start to go past, you notice we'll move to the left. We stay to the left. Better slow down a little bit. I don't know how lenient the Nebraska cops are. Probably not too much over it. So overall for my trip, I'm at 70 more miles than this, so 430 roughly, and I've been averaging 280 watt hours per mile. Since the last charge, it's 340, so that's significantly worse. I don't know if the wind changed or what, but yeah, that went way downhill. Because even during this first part, I was driving 80 across Nebraska, so I haven't sped up or anything. So a good thing to check there is your drive, check your estimated range. I have 200 miles based on at 300 watt hours per mile, 380. My average is still bad because of this acceleration onto the interstate. It takes a while to average that out. The other thing is the car doesn't like going back to the right lane. I had someone gonna pass me on the right earlier because the car didn't move over. It's quick to move to the left, but it won't move back to the right. So overall, yeah, another, I don't know, 300-400 miles in Nebraska, and then into Wyoming, 300 miles in Nebraska. So exciting times. We picked up some light rain. Full self-driving is still working fine in the light rain, but it does say maybe degraded, poor weather detected. In heavier rain, I suspect that it would actually cancel out. So we are 574 miles into the trip, still averaging 282 watt hours per mile. Since the last charge 160 miles ago, I'm at 293 watt hours. Next charge stop, Ogallala. Now I want to show you something interesting that happened here. You notice this is all locked up. Time to reboot that. But full self-driving is still working, you notice. So I'm going to hold the scroll wheels for a few seconds. There's my 80 mile per hour speed limit sign. Full self-driving still changed lanes when I held the turn signal down. mountains finally, hitting the Rockies, went through Cheyenne. They have these neat dynamic speed limit signs that can change for weather. There's hundreds of wind turbines here, but they're not doing much right now. A couple are turning kind of slow, and I think it's just really calm. They usually are going. It's so green right now. I'm not used to it actually being green out here. Coming over the summit of I-80 here, there's a large Lincoln's Head bust up there at a rest area for some Lincoln Memorial. But now we have a nice 5% grade downhill. Pull up the energy consumption graph. And this always looks nice for this. Put it on instant there. 999 miles. It's really nice not to have to touch the brakes at all going down these steep grades. This is coasting right now. It's not doing even any regen. There, it's starting some regen. Or no, that's actually did a little power before regen. Now it's doing regen. This is the last stretch before Laramie. Oh, there it's actually using mechanical brakes just a little bit. Trucks like to keep a lower speed here so they don't have to use their brakes as much. I could probably move over, but this truck's going, this is an exceptionally slow truck. drive, a few points to make. I hardly had to touch a steering wheel at all for 800 miles. I suspect less than 10 miles I was steering myself. Most of that only because I wanted to. Well, a little more than 10 miles, maybe more like 20 miles. And the only reason is because those construction zones. Because like that one was like, I don't know, 10 miles, and I had to steer the entire way myself because the cones were not lined up with the line, so the car couldn't figure out where it needed to drive. It tried to run over the cones. So there was a few construction zones, and the only time I had to disengage it was in Iowa, actually near the beginning of the trip, and those were those 4 disengagements that I had where it tried to turn off twice in the wrong spot. So, if it hadn't done those, I wouldn't have really had any disengagements in that time, other than where I had to disengage for a construction zone. But given that it's beta, it's not actually ready for construction zones yet. It's not done, so I'm gonna cancel this and move this way. So since it's not totally done, you can't expect all the features to work in all areas. So, but overall, I'm impressed. It definitely made driving a lot better. Like I said, I hardly had to use the steering wheel. It does get a little annoying, like if you're trying to use the screen, it'll let you know right away that, hey, pay attention. But it's funny because the screen requires you to spend a lot of time looking at it, so it's kind of a issue with the having a tablet as a screen here. So overall, it worked really well, though. So I'm impressed. My total efficiency, I have 752 miles plus the 70 before I reset the trip, so that's 822 miles, and my total efficiency was 287 watt hours per mile. The 70 miles at the beginning won't really have much impact on that, so that's pretty good. That's better than I get in the winter when I'm like 350 watt hours per mile, like 25% worse, 30% worse. So overall, it's done really well. Looks like there's some rain showers ahead, and thanks for watching.